And hello and welcome everyone to another installment of Retro Hero Video. As always, I am your host Joel. Joining me is my good friend Matt, and we are going to be walking you through another, what I guess you could call is a video book club for the greatest, most memorable, and occasionally regrettable moments in superhero animation. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm doing very well. I'm a little wet here in Australia since
Yes.
half the country is flooded at the moment. But
Yikes.
today's no rain, which is good.
That's good. I'm glad you could make it here. Again, we've been having a hell of a time just getting to the show. You're almost flooded. There was a fire at the end of my hall, but you know.
Yeah, there's threat of nuclear apocalypse.
Yeah,
all
there's
the good stuff.
There's a land war in Europe, you know. We're heading into year 3 of a deadly pandemic, but thank God we have cartoons to talk about.
Yeah.
And we're going to be looking at Teen Titans Season 4, Episode 8, Troq, as we continue our, I guess what ended up being an arc of looking at very special episodes. But obviously, we just can't talk about the episode proper. We need to actually do a little bit of history first is what we need to do. We need to talk about what the world was looking like when this episode aired all the way back in 2005.
Ooh, that was a while ago.
It is and it isn't, where it's like, it feels like modern times. I know I was still a teenager, but just when I looked at what was popular at the time, I felt a billion years old. And as always, this is as much a game for you as it is for me. What do you think the top song was in the year 2005?
2005. Something by Nickelback?
Pardon? You know, you would think that, but in truth, the number one song was... actually, Matt, I was shocked as anyone to find out that the top song at the week that this episode aired was actually "Since You've Been Gone" by Kelly Clarkson.
You know, it was funny. I was actually thinking about that after I said Nickelback.
Again, the American Idol effect is in full effect at this era, and honestly, I think this was like her biggest song, wasn't it? I don't think she ever topped out bigger than this again, and now she's a freaking talk show host.
Yeah, I think this would have been a year or so after she won.
Yes, I believe
American Idol, I guess.
Well, we'll talk a little bit more about American Idol later on, but yeah, I do remember this one was pretty huge in high school. Since you've been gone, I can't breathe for the first time. See, YouTube, you can't blacklist me for that. You can't take my money away for that because I did it badly. Again, I feel Kelly Clarkson's problem was every song she did was basically about the same thing. It was always about a breakup and how she wasn't going to let it get her down.
Yeah.
She's one of those pop stars who sings about so many breakups, eventually you just have to think, like, lady, it might be your fault. Did you think about that?
Yeah, it's like Taylor Swift, how every one of her songs is about an ex.
Oh no, Matt, don't say that out loud. Don't send the Swifties after us. I can handle the Snyder Bros. I can handle every other fan base, but they will kill us. They'll give us frickin' Colombian neckties. They'll put us in tires and set them on fire. But yes, Kelly Clarkson, #1 song in the world. Now, what do you think the #1 movie was the week this came out? I bet you're not gonna guess it, because when I figured it out, the first words out of my mouth were no fucking way.
What month was this? September?
Yes, I do believe so.
I was gonna say Star Wars Episode 3, but that came out in May.
Yes.
Probably wouldn't be in the cinemas in September.
There would be a Star Wars. I think Star Wars ended up being the biggest movie overall that year, but not the week this episode came out.
Ooh, I'm not too sure.
It was a horror movie. It was the remake of House of Wax starring Paris Hilton.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Jesus.
Alicia Cuthbert, Chad Michael Murray. Oh, a masterpiece for the ages.
Oscar-winning material.
Oh, yeah. I remember actually seeing this one because everyone wanted to see Paris Hilton be murdered around this time, because that's how bloodthirsty and weird we all were, and Twitter didn't exist yet, so we couldn't just cyberbully people we didn't like. Ironically, Paris Hilton isn't a horror movie I do like. It's called Repo the Genetic Opera. She plays a spoiled rich heiress in that, and she's pretty good in it.
Yeah, she plays herself, yeah.
She really does, and she finds a sad depth in that character, but not in House of Wax, sadly.
No, not at all.
Not in House of Wax. Now, the #1 TV show, should come as no surprise to you, was American Idol. They were in their 4th season.
Yeah.
And as I sit here and look at the cast of people on the show, I remember that dude with the glasses. I never watched American Idol because even then I didn't give a shit about talent shows. But I did like to watch the first couple weeks of American Idol because that's when the really bad people were on.
That's where all the cringe was. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Again, American Idol was basically its own cringe compilation before cringe compilations were a thing.
It's funny as well because I'm just remembering because obviously they had like Australian Idol and like Britain's Got Talent and
Canadian
all that.
Idol too.
And I'm thinking about like the Australian version, and I don't think they ever did like the whole cringe comp
that's
sort of
a
thing.
shame.
I might be wrong, but I don't remember it. I remember the American one though.
I know Canadian Idol had some cringy ones, but I don't think they were ever as good as the American ones. Because like the Americans always had this self-inflated sense of worth and talent, and just to see Simon Cowell pop their balloon was always great.
It was fantastic, yeah.
It was wonderful, again, for that time. Is it still on TV, or has it been superseded by other talent shows now?
I think like it's all just like America's Got Talent, and
The
there's that
Voice.
one. There's The Voice. There's that one where they like dress up.
Oh, The
and
Masked
sing
Singer,
yeah, that one. Yeah, I don't think American Idol actually exists as that show anymore.
No, I guess those guys had too much money and moved on to something else.
Yeah.
Now, in the world of comics, obviously, because we're a comic book show, we got to talk about that. Here are some of the hottest titles the month this episode of Teen Titans came out. Number one on the shelves was actually, believe it or not, Astonishing X-Men by Joss Whedon.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. The Gifted run.
Yep, that was the run. Excellent run. Everyone was loving it. Yeah, obviously Joss Whedon, not everyone's favorite person for obvious reasons right now. But this run was so freaking hot. I remember Patton Oswalt was talking about this in that comedy documentary he did. It was him, Brian Posehn, Maria Bamford, and there's a moment where they actually go to the comic store and they pick this up.
Right, okay.
Because that's how huge it was. In the same documentary, Patton Oswalt also talks about a young up-and-coming comedian you all need to watch, Louis C.K. Patton Oswalt is great, but he does not have a crystal ball. Now, that was happening at Marvel. Over at DC, the Red Hood story, the original Judd Winnick Under the Hood run was just coming to a conclusion. They just revealed it was Jason this week.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Hard to believe, right?
Yeah, 2005, really.
2005, yeah, Judd Winnick was on Batman, and this whole big storyline was going on. A storyline that really lives in infamy now because Jason continued to be Red Hood. They made that excellent animated movie about it. They even put Red Hood in that Titans show I don't watch.
Yeah.
So pretty goddamn big success in this one. Now, here's the thing that really blew my mind, and I was reading comics at the time, and this really hurt my brain, because I guess this is true, but I just memory holded it wrong. Over at Marvel, Brubaker was writing Captain America.
Yes, yeah.
And
I actually have some of his run from that time.
I have most of it, actually, in trade, because it's just that damn good. The storyline he was telling this week in 2005 was the final part of Out of Time, which was a flashback story reestablishing Captain America and his relationship with the invaders. You know what the other really important part of this story is?
Was it the Winter Soldier part?
Yes, it reintroduces Bucky and says, oh no, he wasn't a Jiminy Jilliker's sidekick, he was actually a very serious child soldier, because the next story was gonna be Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And how friggin' nuts is that we had Jason Todd coming back from the dead, and Bucky coming back from the dead around the same time?
Again, people don't like to admit it, but these comic companies often, like, their stories sometimes match up.
They're reading each other's notes, and it was never more apparent in this era, two characters that we never thought were going to come back to life. We thought they were as dead as the Waynes or as Krypton.
Yep.
And ironically, Krypton and the Waynes have also come back several times since. The moral of the story is nothing is sacred in comics.
No.
Not at all.
Except for Uncle Ben.
Except for Uncle Ben, but who knows?
Yeah.
Obviously, we got to give a little bit of love there to indie comics. The Goon was selling pretty big at this time.
Yeah, the Goon, the product that they've been trying to make into movies and TV shows for
Forever.
like decades.
It's a good concept, and, you know, it would be nice to see Dark Horse get a win for once. I know there was that, like, test footage for that movie they almost made that you can find on YouTube, and it's really good.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I don't know why it wasn't made.
Same. I don't know why, especially now in a day and age when it feels like they've exhausted all the AAA Marvel and DC stuff, and the biggest hits are stuff like Peacemaker and Doom Patrol and Invincible and The Boys, weird niche stuff.
Yeah, it makes you wonder why it hasn't caught on at some point.
Absolutely. Again, make it a TV show. You make this a TV show, and I bet it'll be the biggest thing.
Yeah, TV show to rival like Invincible or something.
Absolutely. Come on. A network, any network, throw some money at this.
Yeah.
And lastly, we haven't done this before, but I also wanted to ask you, what do you think the biggest game was at this time? What do you think everyone was playing in 2005 this week? And again, this surprised the shit out of me too, because it's a genre that basically gets no love and never gets to be #1 anymore.
Ooh. So, if you say, was it a racing game?
It was a racing game.
Was it like a Crash Bandicoot or a Mario game?
No, it was Gran Turismo 4.
Ah, I thought it might have been that.
On the PS2, and I'm just looking back at this, and I aged 100 years instantly. Man, remember when a big racing game could be the hottest game?
Yeah, well, it's funny you should say that, because isn't there a new Gran Turismo coming out, like, this week?
You might be right. I will fully admit, when it comes to racing games, I have a hole in my nerdy armor. This is part of the reason I want to get into emulation, because I know there's, like, so much stuff from years past that you just can't buy anymore that I have missed.
Yeah. Yeah, Gran Turismo comes out March 4th. Gran Turismo 7.
Well, hot damn. Everything old is new again. Everything old is new again. And with that, we can actually hop into the episode itself. And they waste no time getting us started in the episode. Yes, the episode wastes no time getting started. A lot of animated series did this. I know Justice League did this as well, where it's like, hey, before we even hit the credits, we're going to hop right into the show.
Yeah. We're like 3 minutes from the credits, and we get like introduced to our main character, sort of.
Our impetus for the episode.
Yeah, not Captain Atom.
Not Captain Atom at all. This guy's name is Val-yor. Get it? Like Valor? And I'm so glad, Matt, that you're one step ahead of me and you said that this guy looks like Captain Atom, because I thought this would be a perfect time to start a brand new game on Retro Hero Video, and that is X characters this guy looks like. So I have 3 characters that Val-yor looks like, and you guessed the first one right out of the gate. He looks a lot like Captain Atom, doesn't he?
Yeah, just straight up. He's got like that little symbol, same sort of color scheme.
Yeah, it's so funny because like no one else really looks like Captain Atom, where the suit is part of his body, but it's also part of his hair, and like it's very weird. And once you see it, you're like, oh, that guy looks like a Captain Atom type.
Yep.
Val-yor is actually an original character for this show. This would be his first and only episode, so I think it's funny that he looks like so many other people. Who's the second character Val-yor looks a lot like? Well, we mentioned Captain Atom, so we gotta mention his arch nemesis, Major Force.
Yep.
In
He's
fact,
just a red version of them.
Yeah, in fact, I'd argue he looks even more like Major Force, because Major Force has like the buzz cut and everything.
Yeah, the crew cut,
Yeah, he's got the flat top and everything. He's also an asshole, and as we're gonna find out, Val-yor is a giant asshole.
Yeah.
It's kind of the impetus for the entire episode. And the third and final character is actually not a DC character, but he's a character who that not only looks like him, but he has a lot of similarities to. The number 3 character Val-yor looks like is Vance Astro from the original Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep.
Right down to the two-tone, to being a spacefarer, to being like a space warrior guy, but, you know, Vance isn't an asshole, though.
No.
That we know of. As far as I know, Vance is a nice guy.
Yeah.
Now, another very interesting thing about, Val-yor is you may notice right away that he is voiced by someone rather famous.
He is.
That is Stephen Root. Superstar of stage and screen. He's probably best known as playing the Where's My Stapler guy in Office Space, but he's also Bill from King of the Hill. He was in Succession last season. He was in Book of Boba Fett.
Yep.
Dude is he's in Barry in a huge part.
Yep.
The dude is just one of the hardest working character actors.
He really is. Yeah, he's fantastic in everything he's in.
Absolutely. This character is interesting, too, because it kind of plays against type for Root, because Root usually plays, like, lovable weirdos.
Yeah, it really does.
And yet here he's playing, like, a tough guy, action guy asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we see Val-yor's ship coming under attack by a bunch of strange aliens, and he just so happens to buzz Titan's tower in their not quite San Francisco lair.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, the Teen Titans, they're always shown to be like cool, hip teens, yet they're playing Old Maid, the card game, which is like the oldest game. Is that the new hotness now? Is that what the young people are into?
That's what Alfred taught Robin.
I like that a lot, actually. I like that Alfred taught him and he taught the other Titans.
Yeah.
You know, he also makes kick-ass finger sandwiches, too. I almost said Dick, but then I'm like, no, wait, that's not Dick, that's Tim, isn't it? Or no, wait, but he becomes Nightwing, so he's definitely Dick. The Teen Titans was weird because, like, they never really leaned into a lot of the Batman connections. They referenced them, but never straight up did them.
Yeah, and, like, their world always felt like it was just those
things,
five heroes, you know?
Yeah.
No other heroes ever.
Yeah, for the longest time, it took them forever to actually, you know, make greater references. Also, hey, there's an episode of, it's a Static Shock Batman Beyond crossover, where someone asks old Bruce, hey, where's Robin? He's with the Titans. Don't worry, Static, you'll meet them one day, and they never did.
Oh.
Yeah, well, one of the great unanswered mysteries there. So yeah, they're sitting here playing this card game that is certainly a card game and not, you know, code for drugs that teens love, I'm sure. Hey, you got some of that Old Maid, man? Give me some of that Old Maid right in the veins. Their game gets interrupted, and they end up seeing Val-yor crash his ship, and already they're totally taken with this guy and how awesome he is. We see him, like, jump from his ship to another ship and beat the shit out of one of them.
Yeah, he does it all with his bare hands, and he's the best pilot ever and everything.
He's the coolest guy. They're just laying it on with this dude. He doesn't really have a lot of powers, though. He can kind of fly, and he can kind of shoot lasers.
Yeah, he's your standard, you know, alien with super strength kind of guy. Yeah.
He has a great moment where you know he's a badass because he crashes his ship and walks away from the fire because cool guys don't look at explosions. Oh, God, I dropped a lung. Explosions, deadlier than you think. And after that hell of an intro, they throw us directly into the theme song because it's that kind of show. What do you think of the Teen Titans theme, Matt? Because I know for some people it's their favorite thing about the show.
It's pretty great.
It's very catchy. I forgot how catchy it is, and you also got two versions of it. You got the English version, and then you got the Japanese version sung by Puffy Amiyumi.
Yeah.
Which was apparently so popular that Puffy Amiyumi had their own kind of spin-off in the same art style as Titans.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was a weird time. I remember on YTV they'd play both back-to-back. I guess now is probably a good time as any to talk about my own relationship with Titans. Again, I was like a shitty teenager when this came out, and I very much remember kind of turning my nose up at this show, being like, "Ooh, it's not the Timiverse, it's not a continuation of the things I've been watching since I was like 10. I do not like this. Ooh, it's more anime. Oh, that doesn't go together with superheroes." But Joel, you like superheroes and you like anime. Yes, but I'm a shitty child. Thank God I do not have Twitter to write these things down on. But yeah, I remember never giving this show a chance, really. I know for some people, this was their superhero show. This was like their gateway drug to the DC universe. And I always felt like it was a show of two parts. There was the wacky, like, anime-inspired adventures, and then there were the much more serious, like, Slade episodes.
Yeah, it was very strange set show how you could have, like, an episode like this one we're talking about, and then there'd be, like, a wacky, we gotta plan a party for Beast Boy or something.
Yes, this one definitely ends up being on the more serious side of things. And this debate makes me laugh even harder because people who grew up and loved this show and thought it was the epitome of comics and superheroes would end up becoming shitty teens like me and be mad at Teen Titans Go for bastardizing what they loved.
Which is really funny as well because Teen Titans Go is done by pretty much the same people who did this show. Like, a lot of the same writers from this show are creators on that show.
It sure is. In fact, Amy Wolfram, who wrote this episode, she is a titan of kids animation, still working today, worked on Generator Rex and a bunch of other stuff. She works on Teen Titans Go, too, and I'm like, really? The woman who wrote the space racism episode is also writing Go? That's amazing. And also, same voice cast.
Yeah.
Which I think, by this point, Carrie Payton, Tara Strong, all these people, they embody the characters now, and it feels weird when they're not voiced by them. It really does. But yeah, there's a little background on Teen Titans, everyone, and my own relationship with it, just so you know, as we go into this episode, why I think this episode is actually something special, and something that it took me later in life to actually give a chance. So Val-yor meets with the rest of the team, and yeah, they just think he's the coolest guy ever. Oh, he fought those aliens, you piloted that thing, you survived an explosion, and he's kind of loving, all of this, attention he's getting from these teens, and it's really interesting because they are teenagers and are written as such. This guy is an adult man.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It's kind of weird how instantly they worship this guy, but also how he kind of plays off on that later on, because he'll give them all like cool nicknames and everything, and he'll like let them do stuff on his ship, like he's really trying to ingratiate these teens. Everyone is taken with him, but he is not taken with Starfire. He basically turns up his nose at her as soon as he sees her.
Yeah, as soon as he knows that she's a Tamaranian, he kind of turns up his nose at her, and it's not very subtle at all.
No, it really isn't. It's like, oh, well, that's freaking weird. What's this guy's beef with Tamaranians? But I like that, like, it's obvious to him and it's obvious to Starfire. It is not obvious to the rest of the group what is exactly going on here, and that kind of becomes the crux of the whole show.
Yeah, and you can kind of understand why it would be, because it's like, this is like one of the few adults they had on the show that wasn't trying to kill them.
Yes, absolutely.
And wasn't like berating them for doing something bad. He was like like showering them with praise because they were showering him with praise.
Yeah, also they saw him do cool stuff and they're like, oh, what an amazing hero this guy is. We basically want to be just like him when we grow up.
Yeah.
And so they take him back to Titan's Tower, and he tells them a little bit about his mission. Apparently, the aliens that attacked him are called the Locrics, and they're sentient killer robo-machines that are rampaging across space. They attacked his planet, and as is always the case, they plan to attack Earth next.
Well, they might attack Earth, they might not.
They might not.
You can't believe this guy.
No, he certainly believes that they're going to attack Earth, and so he enlists these children to help him. Hey kids, want to see my gun? Want to fly to space? They're called the Locrics, but he calls them Crixies a bunch. He's a big fan of short forms and nicknames and everything. He calls Robin Spike, he calls Raven Sunshine, he calls Cyborg Metalbot, calls Beast Boy Champ, and he calls Starfire something we're going to talk about later. Because it's the title of the episode. But yeah, so the Titans are all too quick to want to help this guy, and also to take an awesome ride in his spaceship. He says that he has a plan to basically go to the Locrics' homeworld and blow them up with a giant bomb.
Yeah, basically commit some sort of genocide against these people. Some
mass genocide. Again, we don't see the Locrics like speaking or talking, so we don't know what level of sentience they have. But again, this is like the Geth from Mass Effect problem, where it's like, well, they're clearly living machines, though. Just because they don't act the way we think, sentient beings react doesn't mean they're not alive in some sense.
Yeah.
The Titans don't bring that up, though. They're like, yeah, hey, let's go blow up some robots. Yay! This was the last season of the show, too. This was like season 4, and one of the many times they went out into space to have an adventure.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked when I was like watching it, because I never watched the show fully from back front. I caught like episodes here and there whenever they were on TV. So like to see them like heading to space, I'm like, wow, I'm not kind of used to this. I'm used to the Titans just fighting in not San Francisco. And, that sort of stuff. But it was pretty cool.
I mean, unsurprisingly, most of the space-bound episodes for Teen Titans were Starfire-centric episodes because she's an alien. It makes sense.
Yep.
And again, he's just laying it on so freaking thick, Val-yor. He's like telling war stories, and the kids are hanging on his every word, and they're doing that like anime chibi eye thing.
Yeah, it's great.
So you know they're really into it, and yeah, he just starts honey dicking them all so hard, like, hey, Cyborg, you're pretty great. Would you like to work the thrusters on the thing? Hey, Robin, you're great. Would you like to drive? Beast Boy and Raven, you can work the guns. Just trying so hard to ingratiate himself to these children and prove that he's a cool guy, but once again, gives Starfire the cold shoulder, even when the ship ends up coming under attack by more Locrixes.
Yeah, he doesn't want the filthy Tamaranian to do anything.
To do anything on his ship. And again, if you're a kid watching this for the first time, you'd probably think that was weird, but you probably wouldn't really know what it was about just yet.
Yeah.
Which, again, still a show written for children. Obviously, we're going in having already seen it. So, yeah, a big fight breaks out. We get to see, you know, all the fun action choreography that the show has to offer. Starfire does her part throwing energy. Beast Boy turns into stuff. Cyborg blasts. Robin has all his toys. They do a lot of that anime speed line thing, don't they?
They do, yeah.
I forgot how much of this show's action scenes existed in, like, big anime speed lines. Again, doesn't bother me so much. Again, it's the show having its own unique identity and everything.
Yeah, it fits in with the show's aesthetic.
It does make capturing images for this video podcast a little difficult, though. I missed it. Oh, fuck, they're still going. So, yeah, the battle is won fairly easily by everyone, you know, with their powers combined. I think Raven actually does the most work. Raven takes out, like, 6 at one time.
Yeah, she's, like, one-shotting everything.
Yeah, to which even Val-yor says, oh, remind me to stay on your good side. We're just saying that, you know, Raven doesn't get enough play and that she could easily do the work of an entire team on her own.
Yeah.
During the fight, too, Starfire ends up, like, knocking the big genocide bomb that Val-yor has, and after everyone leaves, this causes him to basically freak the hell out on her.
Yeah, he starts kind of showing who he really is.
Yes. Again, the rest of the team still loves him, but Starfire realizes something is up when his eyes literally turn red with vile racism, and he calls her a Troq, which is the title of the episode, and as we later come to learn, is it's a Tamaranian slur.
Yeah, it basically translates to nothing. Like, she is nothing.
Yeah, so he said Troq with the hard R with his whole chest when he didn't think anyone was looking. Was not a heated gamer moment, though I'm sure he would say it was. Look, guys, on Val-yor's planet, we say it all the time in our rap music. It's not a problem. You know, it's funny, too, because, you know, Starfire as a character in the show is very much the Wolfen and Perez version, where she's, you know, naive in the ways of Earth and other species, but, you know, desperately wants to learn, and, you know, cares so much about emotions and interpersonal relationships and everything. And I think why this episode is so special for a number of reasons is how she deals with getting called a slur, and that is she basically compartmentalizes, where it's like, well, you know, we gotta save Earth, we gotta stop these aliens, it's more important than my own feelings. So she doesn't tell her team right away that this cool new guy, that this older man that has taken an interest in all of them is actually a piece of shit.
Yeah, she can see, like, her team is, like, enjoying themselves.
Yes.
And she feels like if she said something, she'd spoil that. Which
is a hell of a complex thing, and something that I'm sure many people who face racial discrimination have to deal with. And again, it's something we hear about, you know, more and more in think pieces and everything, where it's like, hey, your one problematic friend I'm sure you don't think is a problem, but actually it's a really big problem.
Yeah.
And that is what, you know, Val-yor is, the ultimate frickin', you know, problematic friend. The next stage of the plan there is that before they can even reach the alien homeworld, they're gonna have to deal with a bunch of landmines that are set up around the perimeter. And Val-yor, again, showing his true colors and what a piece of shit he is, volunteers Starfire to go and do it. Go do the dangerous job. Go move the nitroglycerin, why don't you?
Yeah, you're expendable. You can go do that.
Wow. Like, again, from slurs to, like, I don't even want to breathe the same air as you. I think you are completely expendable. And again, her team doesn't quite know anything is up yet, though they do pose the idea where it's like, hey, Val, if you're so smart and so strong and so good, why can't you do it? Oh, well, I could totally do it if I wanted to. I just don't want to.
Yeah, why do that when we have a Tamarani here who can just do it for us?
Yes, I'm far too superior, you see, to lower myself to doing the grunt work. And again, Starfire, who her new motivation for this episode is, this guy's being racist to me. I want to prove the racist wrong, basically.
Yeah.
By proving that I am not lesser, that I can do this. We are not the sick men of Asia, as Bruce Lee would say. But again, that's almost like a fucked up thing too, where it's like, well, why are you meeting the racist on his own level? It's a complicated, layered thing where it's like, well, that's maybe not right.
Yeah, no, it's very heady for a kids' TV show,
especially a kids' show like this that's all wacky, silly, anime doop-to-doo. Like this and the Terra arc are probably like the two most serious stories they told in this.
Yeah.
To where, like, it goes places you really don't expect, and they really thought about it. Starfire goes out there. We actually get a very cool scene of her basically playing Minesweeper in real life to get the mines to move.
Yeah, she's got to move them into specific spots so they don't drift into each other.
And blow the hell up, though eventually that ends up happening anyway, and there's a moment there of like, oh no, did she actually blow herself up?
And then you remember that she's a Tamarani, and it's like, they're orange-skinned Supermen, so...
Basically, yeah. Why Starfire never joined the Justice League? Seems like she would be a really good addition.
I know, right?
Why did Superman never take interest in her and be like, hey, would you like to be my sidekick because you have no corresponding hero? You can basically do all the same shit I can do.
Yeah.
Would you like a cape? Would you like this S? But yeah, her team are obviously, super stoked that she's not dead. Val-yor is utterly unmoved by it.
Yeah, he's not even impressed or anything, which is something I was waiting for that moment where you have that, like, I am wrong, this is bad, I will do better, but you never fucking get that.
No, you don't. In fact, I think that's probably one of the best, smartest things about this episode. The racist shithead is given multiple chances to change his behavior and learn a lesson, and he doesn't do it.
Yeah, he just, like, waves it off like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. And again, I think that's so much deeper, more complex, and interesting a take for a kid's show, and that is, hey, kids, you're not going to be able to rehab a racist in 22 minutes of television or in real life.
Yeah, especially a space racist who's probably just going to, like, leave your planet and never come back.
Absolutely. The episode's real ultimate big turn is that Cyborg actually ends up using the word Troq on Starfire, assuming like, well, I thought it was okay, he was saying it all the time. And again, really interesting characterization for Starfire, where she's like, look, I'll take it from that bigoted asshole for the greater good, but I will not take it from my own friend.
Yeah, and you get some very, very obvious
social commentary.
So he's calling you a terrible name, and you know that if you punch him out, it'll just confirm all the bad stuff he thinks about you.
Yes. You know what it feels like to be judged simply because of how you look?
Of course I do. I'm part robot.
Social commentary there with him saying that he knows how she feels because he's a cyborg.
Yeah. I know what it's like to be diminished and made to feel less than Starfire just because of the way I look, being a cyborg. I thought that was an interesting take, too, where it's like they could very easily have, made the sci-fi metaphor less of a metaphor and even be like, yeah, because I'm a black human from Earth. It's an interesting choice that they choose to take the cyborg angle on it. I guess that's the part.
If they went that way, I'm an African American. It would be a bit too heavy-handed.
Maybe for Saturday morning. Maybe they're like, look, we're barely going to be able to get this episode made to begin with the headier tones we're going with. Let's try and do that. Also, again, 2005. I could only imagine if Twitter or YouTube had existed in that time.
Jesus.
Yeah, all the fucking professional grifter shitheads out there like Teen Titans, super woke, go broke last season, Kathleen Kennedy's fault somehow.
Yeah, Brie Larson is out.
Yeah, Brie Larson's fault somehow. But again, notice how in 2005, when that didn't exist, people didn't have a problem with it because there weren't a bunch of people cheerleading shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a pretty big moment, and a moment that I feel is like embedded in a lot of people's minds of this show, and why it was the very special episode it was, where it's like, oh wow, this silly show was actually able to address racism in a meaningful way.
Yeah, really good way. Of
all shows, yeah. So, they kind of have their moments, Cyborg and Starfire, and they understand each other in a much more meaningful way. I know Raven and Beast Boy had a bunch of episodes together, and obviously Starfire and Robin had a lot of episodes together. Is this like the biggest episode with Cyborg and Starfire? Probably.
Yeah, I'd probably say so, at least with this level of emotional connection.
Yeah. I remember there was another episode where, like, Cyborg and Raven got a little closer because he was building a car that went evil.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That was a whole thing.
I actually remember that episode, yeah.
See, we remember the car episode, don't we?
It was basically Christine, yeah.
It was basically Christine. Now, the next portion of the plan there is, because Cyborg knows the truth now that, Val-yor is a big piece of shit, he goes and tells Robin, and I love Robin's reaction once he realizes what's actually going on here. Instantly changes from hero worship to be like, oh, I'm gonna make him apologize.
Yeah, he's gonna lay down the law.
Yeah, you hurt the feelings of my friend and also love interest, so not gonna stand for any of this. And it's great that it just took that little conversation for Robin to completely done his hero worship, but it's not the end of the episode though, because even though this guy is a massive asshole, they did agree to help him with this killer robot problem and to save the Earth, so they still need to work with this guy.
Yeah. So I really expected it was going to have a moment where like, oh, that this other alien race, these robots like they're suffering the same thing Starfire did.
Yeah, me too.
It's just this guy being like, oh, we've got to go hang a bunch of these aliens and it's going to be fine because they're evil.
It's so funny you should say that, Matt, because again, this is the first time I watched the episode probably since it was new. I totally remembered this episode wrong. I remember it was the episode that dealt with space racism. I totally thought the third act of this episode was the Titans finding out that the robots weren't actually evil and that this guy was just a genocidal a-hole.
Yeah, and they end up fighting him, yeah.
Yes, I totally thought that's how the episode went. It's not, actually. Apparently, this guy's a racist asshole, but also the robots were killer robots, too.
Yeah.
Which maybe in its own way is a certain level of complexity as well, where it's like, yeah, a guy can be a hero to one group of people and still be evil to another, and both are equally valid.
Yep.
And that's what makes life in the universe difficult, trying to, deal with that. Dealing with people's shitty legacies, like we see it all the time, where it's like, oh, this guy was a hero historically. Yeah, but he said and did some monstrous things as well.
Yeah. Did you hear what he said in those tweets?
Yeah, for real. Oof. Man, I tell you what, thank God Val-yor doesn't have a Twitter. Be banned all the time. Oh, what's that? Val-yor is on Truth? Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. So the big action scene actually involves Starfire putting herself in the thick of it, where it's like, no, the rest of the Titans are going to cover us. I am going to go with you to drop off the bomb, to, prove that I am worth it, to prove that I am not nothing. And again, it's a nice message, but even still, looking at it through the lens of, 2022, it's like, hey, Starfire, you don't have to prove anything to this guy. This guy sucks.
Yeah, this guy's an asshole. You don't have to do anything to him.
I guess it shows how, racial politics have really evolved in the last little bit, because it's like, yeah, you'll drive yourself crazy trying to make these people accept you and everything, and it's not worth it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we get the big long final mission in a video game where you gotta run through the gauntlet of the robots to make it to the final boss room.
Yeah, and again, Starfire basically holds down the team.
Proving how truly powerful she is, how she's able to just walk through most of these robots.
Yep.
Val-yor pretty much being no help, him basically being the big pack mule for this.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, she fights her way through them, proves her worth, and eventually we get to, again, what can only be described as the big final boss room.
Yeah, the control center or something.
Yet, surprisingly, there is no big boss. Again, in my mind, this is a total Bernstein Bears thing. I thought they fought a big, Queen Alien at the end of this one.
Yeah. Again, it kind of feels like that was where the story was headed, and they swerved in the opposite direction to maybe, aha, we tricked you.
Gotcha.
We succeeded your expectations.
I guess. Or maybe I'm just conflating it with several other episodes.
Maybe.
What's even crazier, too, and it's a perfect example of, Val-yor is not only a jerk, not only is he racist, but, like, racism in general just makes no sense and is so deeply illogical. He won't even let Starfire risk her life by setting up the bomb. He's like, you're such a non-person to me. I think I'm so much superior. I'm gonna risk my own life. And ooh, he does the dickiest thing ever, where he like grabs the bottom of her chin and does that thing. Oh, that's such a dick move.
Yeah. He doesn't think that she can press the buttons right and all that. It's just like only he can. He's superior.
Again, when he does that chin thing too, I'm like, ooh, is that like a little misogyny on top of the racism as well? Like,
you can't do it because you're a Tamaranian and a woman.
And a woman. See, I hate you for your race and also your gender. And of course, he sets up the bomb, but it's a big trap, and he gets stuck in like a force shield that's killing him, meaning that Corey has to again risk life and limb just to save the life of this, total prick who has to be goaded into having his life saved. He would rather die than give up his racism.
Yeah.
And again, it's a bit of a subtle message and one worth reevaluating in, 2022, where it's like, wow, some people are so desperate to not even breathe the same air as you, they would rather die.
Yep.
How do you fix that? How do you unlearn that? I don't know, and the episode doesn't claim to know either.
Yeah, I don't know whether you even can.
I don't even know if you can either. And again, for a kid's show for a Saturday morning, the ending on this one is so super serious because, like, he kind of tries to get back into the other Titans' good graces. Like, oh, we had a lot of fun, didn't we? Oh, we did a good job. And, oh, yeah, Starfire, I guess you're one of the good ones. Which Raven gets the best line there. Where it's like, wow, why do even your compliments feel like insults?
Yeah.
And that is one of the worst compliments ever. You're one of the good ones.
Jesus.
That's just fucking laced with poison. And basically, the Titans tell him, get the hell out and don't come back. And he never does. This is the first and last episode with him.
Yeah. This is the only episode he ever appears in. As I said, like, he's still the same guy as he was when he started. There was none of that sort of, I've learned my lesson.
Yeah.
Tamaranian and other people of different races are good.
It's a pretty nuanced take on racism that you can't cure all racists. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he leaves the planet on this, no doubt to be on the Joe Rogan podcast, get a new Netflix special called Cancelled with Val-yor. Well, you see, that's just him. Him and Rogan are selling $1,000 tables where people get the Genesis virus. Gonna be a hot new thing for him, so he's not done yet, Val-yor. And yeah, basically the end of the episode is he leaves, he's a dick, and Starfire pretty much does like the South Park what I learned today for everyone else.
Yeah.
And that's where the episode ends. And yeah, that was Troq, and there was a lot going on this one. I know, unlike Batman the Animated Series, where I had like rewatched it and revisited it dozens of times, this is the first time I really returned to this particular episode, and I'm glad to say it held up.
It did, yeah. I'm in the same boat with you, whereas I'd returned to like Batman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, Superman, Justice League, seen all them, but like, yeah, this was like the first time I've watched an episode of Teen Titans, like sat down and watched it in like years, decades even.
Yeah, like basically since it was new for me. But yeah, this episode had some chops. It had some stuff going on, and maybe teenage me was wrong for painting it with the brush that I did. I had to learn a thing about tolerance for a show.
You had to go through character development.
I had to go through character development and come out the other side and be like, you know what, this one actually had some stuff going on, and I'm sure we'll revisit Titans in the future, because I'm sure people would want to see us cover the Slade arc and when they did Judas Contract and everything.
Yeah, all the stuff with Terra.
Yeah, I also love the Mad Mod episodes. I'm not gonna lie, there's only 2 of them, but I think those are actually great. I think visually they're great. I think it's the funniest the show ever was. Again, it's a show with many layers and with lots of stuff going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that'll just about do it for another installment of Retro Hero Video. Thank you as always, Matt, for joining us. I hope the fans had as much fun rewatching and revisiting this one with us, even though it was a little on the heavier side. But don't worry, everyone. In our final part of the very special episode arc, we're going to be looking at Jimmy, the Static Shock episode about school shootings. Yeah. It's gonna get fucking raw and real for the finale. I was gonna do that, or I was gonna do that Gargoyles episode where their cop friend literally gets shot.
Oh, yeah, I remember that episode.
Yes, that was a good one. Lethal Force, I think, is what that one was called.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we've covered all of our things here in the very special episode arc. Kidnapping, drugs, racism, and we're ending it with guns. Doing the hat trick. And then after that, I promise we'll do something nice to clean the palate. I know, Matt, you said you were on something of a reality TV show kick, and we just remembered that they actually had a Stan Lee superhero reality show.
Yeah, they had a bunch of weird, cringy nerd stuff in like the late, early 2010s, early 2000s.
Which is the perfect bollocks for us in this show, I think.
Yep.
So thank you, everyone, for watching and listening, and we will be back again at the end of next month for another episode, so get ready for that, everyone.
Yeah, see you later.
Bye-bye.